Traditionally, video games have always had it easy on tackling the topic of death. Playing a shooter, you die and you respawn, maybe fall off a stage and you come back. What Spiritfarer does differently is revolve around the topic of death, but in a wholesome and somber way. It's quite literally a management simulator all around finding peace before going to the afterlife, and it's my latest favorite indie game. Spiritfarer is loosely based on the Greek mythology tale of Styx, a river said to lead to the afterlife. In the story, spirits are guided to the afterlife by Charon, who in Spiritfarer is represented by a ferryman. The most recent Charon is ready to travel to the afterlife themselves, and we, protagonist Stella and her cat Daffodil, are the new replacements. Together the two sail on a large boat, gathering the spirits left on Earth, hoping to find peace and transcend to the afterlife. It isn't Stella's job to solve the problems of these spirits, nor will all these spirits like her. Some will immediately not like her, others might be her friends or family, and others might just transcend with some problems. Ultimately, Stella isn't here to fix everyone's problems, but to help these spirits with their acceptance of death and hopefully find peace in it. Every one of these passengers needs something from us, may it be a hug, one last trip, or even just a home-cooked meal that reminds them of their cherished times. Regardless of the request, we're here to help and connect with these spirits. That's what made Spiritfarer special to me, the connections with these passengers and being able to learn about them and their stories through helping them. These moments help establish genuine connections with these well-written characters. It's one of the best examples of death portrayed in a video game. Death is often a topic I'm not really sure how to go about. Sometimes I think about how in one moment I'll be here and in another I could be gone. Those dark thoughts often lead to questions of self-worth and what all of this is for and why I'm even still writing this review. In retrospect, Spiritfarer helped reaffirm the quiet voice in my head that says, it's for the experiences, the connections I make with people, and the legacy I'll leave behind. If its story is about death and acceptance, then the gameplay is where the management sim aspect comes into play. Like a game of Tetris, Stella's mostly blank ship slowly builds up building after building. Kitchens to cook food, a farm to grow crops, and guest homes for the spirits. These are just some of the staples you'll build on this cramped but ever-growing ship. All of this is done to ultimately help care for the spirits around you. Some may want a specific recipe, perhaps travel somewhere they've always wanted to go to. Regardless of the request, it's up to us to help. That means a lot of sailing from island to island, gathering resources to build perhaps a kitchen, then ingredients for a specific dish someone wants. It's simple, straightforward, and at times repetitive, sure. However, it never truly felt like chores because it all felt like it was for the better of someone else, someone who I wanted to find peace in their death. In the same way that Death Stranding was repetitive but never really felt like work to me, Spiritfarer accomplishes the same but in a more heartwarming manner. While managing my resources, I was able to tell my ship to set sail towards the next location, making the most out of my time and not having to worry about the ship itself while working. Anytime I needed to jump off the ship to perhaps grab an item from the sea, the ship would stop to make sure it didn't sail without me. A lot of these tweaks to the gameplay helped the management feel soothing and not so much challenging but calming in a way. I often found myself just getting lost in the sunsets behind my ship as I sailed onto the next island. While my passengers were asleep, I'd fish with Daffodil at my side, getting ready to feed my hungry passengers in the morning. Over the course of about 25 to 27 hours, I settled into my new position as a spirit mother in this world. And while yes, some things like backtracking for resources, guests getting in front of the door, and some other traditional monotonous things did get annoying at times, but I was never frustrated. I was happy to bring on the new guests, help them find peace, and ultimately just find another person to care for. But as quickly as these guests came and I grew attached to them, they soon had to leave, and just like that, Spiritfarer communicated in its own way the acceptance of death. For as beautiful as Spiritfarer's story is, it would be a disservice to not mention the lovely visuals on display here. Featuring hand-drawn characters, fluid animation, and just some amazing lighting design in a 2D field, Spiritfarer captivated me. I found myself staring at the sunset after a long day of gathering resources and going on quests. Spiritfarer's visuals simply feel cozy. The saturated color palette gives off this warmth that just feels like a hug. Quite literally, the game would even feature animated hugs, which the fact that you can even do this as an action is adorable. Regardless of the platform you choose to play this on, you can count on the performance and experience to be stable and breathtaking. Throughout my time as the Spiritfarer, I was accompanied by the title's marvelous soundtrack that reinvigorated the sense of adventure and tranquility at the same time. In the moments I was sailing from island to island, the guitar strings strumming in the background truly made me feel like a sailor out on an adventure. Likewise, the more tranquil and peaceful nights of just fishing along to some strings in the background as my spirit guest went to sleep, it was oddly calming, like a good wrap up to a hard work filled day. Spiritfarer is a work of art. Its ability to translate a topic that for many people is so hard to grasp and talk about, especially during a pandemic like this, is outstanding. I fell in love with so many of these characters, and as soon as I got to care for them, it was time to say goodbye, but like them, I found peace in hearing their stories and having them realize their journeys towards peace. As a management simulator, it's not the most challenging or demanding in terms of gameplay, but as the developers described it themselves, it's a cozy management simulator, and that's exactly what it needed to be. Spiritfarer, simply put, is one of my favorite indie games and one I have no problem recommending to my audience. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. I recognize I probably said the pronunciation of this game multiple different ways throughout this review. If you have the correct pronunciation, let me know in the comments below in a civil way. Thanks for watching, guys.